Recording in progress.
They must just come and help. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. can we all get seated? And also those who are still outside, you are encouraged to come in because we are about to start. Can we please come in? The program is about to start. So it's quite important that you, whatever you're doing outside, just cut it off and come in. I don't know whether I'm audible outside, but I'm requesting that everyone it's been invited, who is coming here, or who should be in this room, please just come in so that we start. We don't have luxury of time, so we just wish that people can just recognize that, and please come and get your seat. I know it's been a long time not seeing each other. That time will come of seeing each other unlimited. So for now, please just come in and let's start. Otherwise, we're going to run late, and the program has been about to start. So the sooner we are here, the better, because we're working through the stipulated time. So we're not going to exceed the time that has been stipulated there. So therefore, it's quite imperative that people need to come in and let's start. Please. Thank you.
Okay, can put it here. So done. Okay. 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 So we sorted.
So I don't know, Chair. They still greeting one another, and I'm trying to make noise
Let's
to say they come
try,
in.
let's try them to get in. It's 5 o'clock now. We should be starting.
Am I?
Yeah, I got place there. A blend. A blend. Yeah.
Are there still people outside who are? Can you please encourage people to come in? Wait,
So I can't talk.
and then let's get started.
No more talking.
Let's get started.
Yeah. He'll get there. We've never done it, yeah.
A few, ne? Oh, okay. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, once again. I was given the green light that we can start. Those who are coming late, of course, they will just find us. We all here and they coming here. Therefore, I think it's quite important that we start. And I don't think we still have any more time to wait. I was informed that some people outside are still, drinking some coffees. But I encourage everyone to come in with the coffee. They are allowed, not unless, of course, there is a rule there at the door that says if you're still drinking the tea, you must still be outside. tea are not allowed. Yeah. So not unless, of course, I miss that. But otherwise, those who are outside still drinking, they can come in. They are permitted to can still continue drinking while we are continuing with our duty. My name is Jabu Lisiba Langa, the program director of the day. I've been assigned to deal with the program of today. So I just want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone who is here. And those who are still outside, I can also extend my appreciation and say, I know that there might be some other reasons, of course, that they did not arrive in time. They are also welcome. I want to welcome those who are from far. You know, today is Friday. We made a call deliberately knowing that it's Friday, knowing that we may be disturbing some of the activities that you were supposed to be engaging with them. But unfortunately, we still have to do this even today. We may not be able to provide what Friday can give you, but unfortunately, or fortunately, you are very much important to us. So we also want to see you on Friday. So without any wasting of time, as I indicated that you are welcome, and your presence here is quite important, because in as much as you may not know that you are well appreciated, let me take this opportunity to inform you that you are well appreciated for the job that you are doing, for the assistance that you are giving the Mictseta. This is just a token of appreciation. For you to come here and get the progress that is being done by the Mictseta throughout the year is quite important. And this was not going to be possible had it not been through your assistance. That is why we are not ashamed to call you to come here and hear exactly what we are capable of and what we are doing. And of course, there might be some other challenges, and those challenges, of course, will be shared during the presentation. So I am going to just mention some few things here that are going to take place or be done during the proceedings. This is our AGM as Mictseta together with you. There will be some various reports we are going to share with you. And amongst those reports are the reports that, of course, may be too close to your heart. And it is going to be your responsibility just to indicate that, indeed, whether we have done well or we didn't do well. But the reports are going to be shared with you. Now, what we are going to do, we've got 3 reports, which I believe that you do have those reports in front of you. I guess there is a pack in front of you, and inside the pack, the reports are included. And one other thing is, based on the previous AGM, we've got the minutes that I believe that they form part of the bundle. So what I need to indicate, those minutes, as and when the program is going through, and you can also look at the minutes. I don't think it's a huge document. It may be 1 or 2 pages that we can go through. And those minutes we're not going to approve, but we are just going to accept. So at the end of the presentation, we are going to be given an opportunity, to deal with those minutes, but not to go through, but just to accept those minutes. Because just to confirm to us that indeed, this is the true reflection of what has been discussed last year. Now, in terms of the annual budget and annual performance plan, we are not going to approve here because that document is still going to be discussed at the strat session. So it will be for noting. after we have noted it, of course, the board is still going to discuss that issue further at the Strat meeting. And I think that one is also in the pack, and it will be presented to you as well. At the end of the presentation, or rather, let me put it this way, we are going to run with the presentation throughout until the end of it, meaning all the three presenters are going to share the presentation with us, and after we have finished, that is where we are going to allow clarity-seeking questions, and the recommendations, and the comments. Now, let me put it clear with you that the recommendations are going to be welcomed from the guests or stakeholders. But I think it's quite important to know that those will be the recommendations given to the Mictseta board, and the board is still going to digest those recommendations. And whether or not, of course, they are going to be taken, that would be the discussion that is going to be guiding the board. The discussion will lead to whether or not those recommendations are taken, but then the recommendations will be welcomed. Now, unfortunately, the presentation that is going to be given here, it is the high-level presentation, meaning we are going to give all the important pointers. So we're not going to go through the whole document of the report. So the speakers, those will be here, they will be giving the high level of presentation, and of course, I guess also that it will be something that is going to be acknowledged from you. Now, those are the things that, of course, we are going to get here. And of importance, it's what I've just already mentioned, that throughout the presentation, we would accept and also appreciate that you may have some questions that you want to ask. Please reserve your questions until the end of the presentation. Not only one presentation, but the three presentations, because they are not long. Those three presentations will be given to all of us. And once we are done, then that is where we are going to be given the opportunity to raise questions, but limited questions. As I said, that this is a high-level presentation, and recommendations for that matter. So that is that, members. I believe that we are now going to start, but before we can do that, as I welcomed you, and I believe that everybody is settled, we are ready for the presentations. Then what we are going to do, it is the introduction, rather, of the guests. So our guests are going to be introduced. Then I've got Ms. Faye, who is going to assist us in introducing the stakeholders here. So I'm not too sure, Ms. Faye, if she's here already. If she's here, please just come closer so that we can be able to introduce our guests and before we continue with our program. For now, thank you very much, Ms. Faye, you're welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you to Mr. Langa, our program director. My role this evening is very short and very concise. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all our esteemed guests in attendance. Once again, thank you very much for joining us as we unpack our annual general meeting. We are honored to be joined by guests who are our principals this evening. I'd like to take the time and the opportunity to acknowledge these VIP guests who are with us this evening. We are joined by the following stakeholders and principals. We have representatives from the Department of Higher Education and Training, the ministry to which we report. We also have representatives from the Gauteng Department of Education and Development, Gauteng Department of Economic Development, Ms. Gloria Ngosi. We also have the Chairperson of Services SETA, Mr. De Vries, and would like to also acknowledge the partner to ICT Skills Development, Mr. Kaya Malinga. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Ms. Fai. I didn't know that your job is so quick. I wish I was you, but unfortunately. And you see, it's quite important that I think let me also appreciate those who were putting some lights here. I think it was deliberate that they put the lights just towards us, or towards me actually. Because if I were to say us, I don't see us here, I see myself. Because, and I tried my best to wear a white shirt so that I can be visible. You know, the black and this one, I'm from Limpopo, therefore it's quite important that I should indicate. You may not even see me, you hear someone talking. And I was saying, if there are no lights, I would just request the guest to imagine that they're listening to the radio, the presenter of the radio. So it's me, but the shirt will also, of course. So I'm just encouraging those who are just putting the lights not to turn them off. They need to be like this until we finish this. Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to call the chairperson of the board to come and give us the first presentation. I don't know, Honorable or Mr., but Mr. Simpiwe Tovela, please come and give us the report. Thank you very much.
Certainly, I'm not from Limpopo. This can be seen, and let me first. I don't think I'm going to need this. Let me first thank the program director for giving me the opportunity to come speak here on this important event of an AGM, and it's my third AGM at Mictseta. I'll start by first acknowledging the Mictseta board, and as I do so, I will request them to, just in case there's somebody who does not know them, I would request them to stand up and be recognized. And I will start with the program director himself, Mr. Jabu Langa. I don't know whether I should say you must stand up or not, because that's Mr. Langa, one of the board members. The next board member that I would like to recognize is Ms. Faye, Tabisa Faye. The next board member that I would like to recognize is Mr. Sipo Zwane. Maybe before, as I continue, I must have a disclaimer quickly that I should have had right at the beginning. As you know, that the board is made up of members from the employer and the employee. So some of these members that I'm introducing are from the employee and the employer, the employee representative organization, the employee unions, to make it much more easier. So they warned me that I must be careful to call them Mr., because their constituents may not be excited. Their constituents will soon believe that they have sold out. So I must refer to them as comrade. So I'm not sure whether I'm allowed in this occasion to call them comrades. But nonetheless, I can call them comrade because comrade is a person that you can trust with your entire life. That's what the word comrade means. So I can trust them. The next comrade is Comrade Mr. Tebogo Mamurubel. This one is a Mr. Thabo Mofokeng. There's no comrade. I have not seen Mr. James, but we've got Mr. Viewer James. He would have been Comrade Mr. Viewer James as well. So he's from the employer side. I've not seen him yet, but Mr. Viewer James is part of the board. And Mr. Loiso Kiecha, he tries very much to befriend the comrades. I'm not sure what is his intentions, but I think that there's some intention that he has, the way he wants to befriend the comrades. And I must also acknowledge Comrade Ms. Ntombikaise Khumalo. Lastly present here is Ms. Nozvele Lambo. That constitutes the board of Mictseta. And there are things that I will say about the board a bit later in my input. I must also acknowledge the audit committee. As we know that we've got an independent committee. The chairperson of the audit committee I have seen here, but the other two independent members I've not seen. But Mr. Suleiman Badat, the chairperson of the audit committee, is here. Ms. Lindy Wenkosi and Ms. Gideon Labane, I've not seen them, but would have expected them to be here. Maybe they will be joining us a little bit later. And say it again? Or they joining online? Oh, okay. I was not advised. Noting that I'm from rural areas, I did not know the option of joining online. The chairperson of the risk committee, Mr. Stonley Ngobeni, I'm not sure if he is here. And I must also acknowledge the chief executive officer of Mictseta, Mr. Madiban. And you will note, I didn't say acting. I said the chief executive officer. So he's a chief executive officer now fully. Unless last time when we were gathered, he was an acting, he failed as an actor. So we decided, let's make him permanent. So, Mr. Matibana, let's congratulate you. But I must also, he shifted the acting to the CFO. So we've got the acting chief finance officer, Mr. Mtenjo Mseleko. Maybe at this point, I need to make this point because I might just forget it later. Mr. Mtenjo is acting because Mictseta is in the process of finalizing parting ways with the CFO that was here. It's a matter of public record that the CFO was suspended by the Mictseta and for facing serious charges. And we are in the process of a mutual separation because as much as our case was strong, but and I will not get into the detail of that, but it's proper to say we are parting ways with the CFO. But having said that, I need to say it up front that I must state and show appreciation to Mr. Mseleko. Mr. Mseleko has been acting since May this year, and this coincided with the period when the audit was starting. But he managed to pick up the pieces and work with the auditors and work with the chair of the audit committee. The results that we will talk about later are to a greater extent the commitment and diligence that has been displayed by Mr. Mselegu, and we must thank you for that, Mr. Mselegu. I must also acknowledge the presence of other SETA chairpersons and CEOs that may be in our midst. Some have been acknowledged already by Ms. Faye. And the executive authority representatives, at this point I had not been briefed who has arrived, but the executive authority is being the department or the Minister of Higher Education and Training is represented. And they are acknowledged because they are the major stakeholder today, because we owe our being to the department. In terms of King 4, the governing bodies that's referring to the board has got 4 primary governance roles. Those governance roles are setting a strategic direction. We can confidently indicate that we have set a strategic direction as the MICT-SETA board that has been characterized by an understanding of a dynamic and ever-changing environment within which we function. The second responsibility of the board is that of approving policy. The board has approved a bouquet of policies that respond to the approved strategic direction and enhancing the control environment in the MICT-SETA space. The third is the ensuring accountability. The process of accountability entails, amongst others, accounting for organizational performance through reporting to the stakeholders, which is why we are gathered today. It's our responsibility as the board. The fourth and the last responsibility of the board is to oversee and monitor the execution and implementation of the decisions of the board by management. This we do by ensuring that we have continuous assessment and monitoring of the adherence to the policies, the laws that management is hired to execute the programs of the MICT-SETA, observing such. The MICT-SETA is a state-owned and it's like other state-owned entities. It has a board as a governing body. The governing body is charged with the responsibility to exercise ethical and effective leadership. This demands that the board leads by setting the right tone from the top, as to ensure that governance outcomes are achieved. Part of the responsibility of the accounting authority is to put together mechanisms and structures to fight against corruption. And I'll tell you why it's important that we cannot finish this work that we are doing today without mentioning the fight against corruption. The SETAs, and this is off the script, the SETAs generally have been, over time, been known just as a place where there is no controls and where people do as they please and mismanage levies that have been paid by companies, levies which have turned to be public money, because it is law that they must pay these levies. And therefore, we've got the responsibility of ensuring that such monies are properly managed and they deliver what the mandate of the SETA is supposed to deliver. And as they deliver that which we have to deliver, it must be done in an ethical manner, which is why these governance outcomes that we must talk about, one of them is the ethical culture. Ethical culture is very important. This is one of the things that has actually signified this board, that this ethics are at the center of what we do. Linked to that is performance, good performance. And it shall be shown later as we speak that the board has focused on driving management to be performance focused. And the results do not lie, the numbers do not lie, and we shall see these numbers that we'll be talking about a bit later. The effective control is one of those outcomes that we're focusing on. Effective control is about setting the proper and necessary control mechanisms and systems to ensure that any malfeasance shall be detected and be dealt with, which is why we have not been able to tolerate any deviant behavior in MICT-SETA. We've not been popular for this, we've been unpopular. But guess what? We are not scared of being unpopular, for as long as we're doing the right thing for the country. The other outcome is legitimacy. Legitimacy is about the stakeholders accepting and understanding that the work that we do and actually seeing the value that we create. And therefore, we then create legitimacy of our existence as the SETA. I am confident that we have, as a collective board, been able to live up to our responsibilities. During the period under review, there were members who left MICT-SETA. In total, there were 3 board members who left during the financial year under review. Only 1 member has been replaced, which is a bit of a concern from my side. We have engaged the minister to express our concerns with the slow pace of replacements. And I'm sure the members from the executive authority will understand this, that we are working towards this. But I've been today assured that that appointment of the outstanding board members is on its final lap. But it is important for the stakeholders to know that we've been really frustrated, to say the least, with this process of appointing the board members. And we are aware some of the stakeholders have come to the office of the CEO to ask, where is the appointment? And it must be remembered that we do not do the appointment, we facilitate the process of appointment, but the appointment is done elsewhere. But I can also guarantee you, the minister in particular has not been aware that this process is very slow. And we have since brought it to his attention, and that's why we are believing that it's getting traction now, because the minister is also equally concerned that there must be the requisite number of board members in MICT-SETA. The mandate of MICT-SETA as stipulated in the Skills Development Act and the Skills Levy Act of 1999, it is to develop and implement national sectoral and workplace strategies in order to develop and improve the skills of the South African workforce. The MICT-SETA particularly focuses on as our name says, our focus lies on the areas of media, information, and communication technology, including relevant subsectors of electronics, software development, computer engineering, repairs, and maintenance. As a sector, training, education, and education authority, we are called upon to be on the forefront of developing cutting-edge future skills. However, MICT-SETA is a transversal SETA that has a footprint that is found across the different economic sectors. This is both good and bad for MICT-SETA to be a transversal SETA, because it puts pressure on us as a MICT-SETA. The demand for a MICT-SETA as a transversal SETA is way beyond what you can imagine. The resources that we have, both human and financial, are not adequate to respond to the demand that is there. And to some extent, we do understand the frustration of some of the stakeholders. But we are here to state to the stakeholders that it is not our intention to frustrate. Some have been complaining about the numbers that are low. Some have been complaining that they've not been getting allocations. But the thing is, we are stretched too thin because of the resources that are inadequate. And at times, and I would say this, at times, probably my point that I'm going to make next is to show that management at MICT-SETA, actually, I don't understand how some of them are still working. these people don't sleep. These people don't take leave. And I'll say something that I would have said later on when I introduce the secretary, the cabinet secretary support that we have. They are new, but they have said, some I'm told they've started drinking wine since joining Mictseta. They were not into wine, but they've started drinking wine because the pace at which things are happening at Mictseta, it's way beyond your comprehension. And unfortunately, they gave a wrong person to be the chairman of the board. I don't relent until I see the result. Because it's not about me, but it's about my country. So I really want to appreciate in public these managers and employees of Mictseta for tolerating all the nonsense that I put them through to push them to deliver even at awkward times. With all this, we are constrained by the regulatory framework. There's a 10.5% cap that is set on our budget on what we can spend on administration. That administration includes human resource. And you'll be surprised that an entity like this, probably we're not the biggest, Stevie, because we know you're talking serious money there. But we are big in our own way. I still ask, how does a staff complement of less than 100 people drive a budget of just above R1 billion with multiple stakeholders? And it's really tough. But we can't exceed, we can't do more. Most of these senior managers don't even have somebody who looks at their administration. They are PAs, they are secretaries, they are admin officers, all by themselves. Now, you can understand the pressure that this management is under. And at times, I've heard, I was told in another, Imbizo, is it Imbizo? GTech, is it GTech Loiso? GovTech, yes. So I'm introducing new terminology. One of the presenters, and I hope she's in the audience, said as part of the panel, that they've got problems because we've got onerous requirements as the Mictseta for accreditation. But I can guarantee you, the pace at which we are turning around the applications might be slow, but it's not because we want onerous things, but it is the sheer volume and focus on Mictseta and the capacity that we have. But it is, of course, not accurate. I can't say it's untrue. So I've got to be politically correct. It's not accurate to say we want impossible things. But you will accept there are things that must be required for you to be accredited as a training provider. Otherwise, anybody and every Tom, Dick, and Harry who is chasing after money, not necessarily interested in the training and the outcomes that must come out of that, would just be dipping into a DigiGrant because they are accredited. So we got to have a mechanism of sifting as to who is this training provider that has to do the work that has to be done for the country. And I remember very well, I did say this last AGM, and I said, it is important for training providers to make money as businesses, but the making money part must be a byproduct, not the main issue. The main issue must be the creation of the skill that is required to get the economy functioning. As part of creating that skill and developing that skill, then you make money. We can't say people should make money, others, they won't be able to feed their families. But the preoccupation must not be that of making money. Because later on I'll talk to you and indicate what this mindset and mentality of not focusing on things that have to be done, but focusing on money, how bad it is for the sector, for the economy, for the country. Later on we'll talk about that and see the examples of what happens when these people are chasing money. Which leads me to the next point. In response to one of the anchor pillars of our strategy, we have entered into various partnerships with various organizations and entities. Partnerships that we have entered into include partnerships with the industry, other SETAs, TVET colleges, institutions of higher learning, amongst others. And I can say, we announced last AGM that we are in partnership with Services SETA, the chair is here, and we did announce that that partnership was not just a feel-good partnership and pop the champagnes and celebrate, but it's about what we have to do. And we have got practical problems, practical projects that we have delivered on in the partnership. With other SETAs that we are in partnership with, we have done the same, and other entities, and probably later on we'll talk about some, and which leads me to the next point, that as part of these partnerships, I may single out in the year under review, the partnership that we have with Chieta. They corrected us. So they say they are not cheaters. The chair said in front of the minister recently on the 25th of October, Minister, we are not cheater, we are not cheaters, we are Chieta. So Chieta, we have in partnership with Chieta. The partnership that is taking cue from the skills conference, national skills conference that we held in September 2021, that called for partnerships and improvement of our implementation by also focusing on the district development model. This partnership that this partnership that I'm referring to included the municipality, the Port of Saldanha, 2 SETAs, NAMISA, and other stakeholders. That has led to the opening of the first Smart Skills Center in Saldanha. And we seek to expand that. Already there is work that is happening in KZN, which we will be part of. We will be focusing in the other places, Eastern Cape, Gauteng, Limpopo, and across all the provinces. That Smart Center project is something that we're going to be pursuing with other SETAs as well. That Smart Skills Center was opened by the Honorable Minister, Dr. Blade Nzimande, on the 25th of October. That shows the partnership that is practical. World over, it has been proven that institutions of higher learning are the womb that nurtures and bears new ideas and that would resolve societal problems. It is this reason that we are very excited to have partnerships with institutions of higher learning. The likes of Yahoo, Google, Facebook, and other companies, we were told at the Silicon Valley, have got their genesis from Stanford University. And now, if that is true, the Chinese are adopting the same model of creating their own Silicon Valley to produce some of these big entities that have become unicorns. We therefore are committed in partnering with the institutions of higher learning. And we are particularly excited with the partnerships that we have with them, which I'll talk about. But one of the key things that's important in these partnerships and for the country as a whole is that I argue we're not investing enough on finding new things, research that produces new things and new ways of doing things. We are impatient. We start and we stop, and that causes us to depend on what is developed outside. I ask myself, why have we not developed our own solutions in cybersecurity? The Russians are doing it. Elsewhere they are doing it. But why are we depending on these solutions that come with the rights of these cybersecurity solutions that we have that are elsewhere? And we don't have a right that's our own. Why do we continue to? I'm making an example with that. I'm also told that Uber, Bolt, and others are unable to service some of the parts of the country precisely because they do not have addresses. But why are we not tapping into that space and bring solutions? Because that's a problem. But it should present itself as an opportunity for somebody to resolve that problem. I am told Google Maps, in fact, I have seen Google Maps get lost in some places in this country. I'm from rural areas. There are places where ilaliam ayiko a mapping. You can't find my village in the map. And Google Map does not know my village. I can say this confidently. I can see some are laughing, but this is the reality. And I was saying, actually, I got lost in the US at Silicon Valley, going to Google. We were driving to Google headquarters, and we got lost. And we were late in the meeting. We had to tell them respectfully that we came late because Google Maps could not take us to Google offices. So imagine when they can't take us to their own head offices. What about my village? It's a difficult. But the issue here is that we have to find these solutions ourselves, I argue. We have to find these solutions ourselves. There's nothing wrong in learning and piggybacking on what is already there. But then we customize some of those things to be ours. We got to think out of the box. Let me put it publicly here that I appreciate the relationship that we have with Tshwane University of Technology. The relationship with TUT is designed to and intended to fast-track the automation process at MICT CETA. As we speak, we have started a process of automation that we have struggled with a lot. You will remember in the last AGM, we told you that the window period that had closed, we had even to go manual because our system could not cope. And we are working with the TUT to deal with some of those things. As we speak, the module on learning programs is indeed complete. The workplace skills plan module is done. We are currently finishing the ETQA module, which we will be completing very soon. This is the kind of partnership that we want, that must deliver results, that must provide solutions. We are also working with other government departments and provincial governments in the process of developing skills, digital skills in particular, as part of digitalization and digitizing. We may be announcing some groundbreaking relationships with some government departments at national level and at provincial level. But at this stage, I was told that I must keep quiet and not be excited and leave some of these things to the ministers. I can't take that thunder away from the ministers. So we'll allow the ministers to make big announcements on some of the things that we're working on with them. And these, I can tell you, will benefit also the training providers that are in the small business sector as well. Because I can tell you now, this is off the script, but I can tell you now, what we are actually picking up is that there's a lot of training money that is sitting in government departments, but it's not doing much. So what we are doing is to try and nudge departments to come and collaborate with us to unlock that money and get the skills the development process at a higher level and getting the small businesses an opportunity to provide their service in developing skills and be proud of what they're doing in their country. We also have good relations with the industry players, both big business and SMMEs. We'll continue to improve our expenditure on the SMME sector. And I must say, I'm proud, we have got just under 700 million of the grants that we have dispersed on the year during the year under review. But just almost 80% of that went to the SMMEs. And anybody, actually about it's 600 and something, right, of the grant, and out of that 600 and something million that was dispersed on grants, 440 or just about 440 million went to SMMEs. And you look so disappointed. It's as if to wish it was smaller. But we committed that without apology, We will continue to give opportunities to small businesses. And we are continuing with that. And maybe I must not say some of the things that may be career limiting, because black SMMEs in particular, maybe that's part of the problem in the country. We get to be sorry about being black SMMEs. Because now the definition of who is black is quite a very broad definition. But I can tell you, you can't go to some countries and be classified as a person who is a beneficiary from the transformative programs of that country. But in this country, we have got that situation. And I don't know how. But don't tell the powers that be that I said this, because I might just be asked to vacate my position. But it's something that I don't understand. So we're going to continue working with the small businesses, but in the same way that we work with unions. Some unions would confirm here that we have, contrary to what we were, to where we were in the last financial year, there were very few unions that benefited out of the discretionary grant in the previous financial year. But we have increased that number, and I would want to say those who have benefited out of the unions that I must raise their hands. But we will not do that because it might just arise, there might be a conflict of interest. So, but we have continued to assist unions also to reskill and improve their skills that they currently possess. Recently, I attended a world skills competition which was held in South Korea. I must indicate, colleagues, that I came back a bit despondent, disappointed, shattered. And the reason for that is that it was clear to me that as a country we were not prepared for that competition. To where I was, remember the skills competition happens all over the world, but to the place where I was, we found only 2 competitors from South Africa for different areas of skill set that were there for competition. The one thing that disappointed me is that clearly as a country we did not prepare for that. We did not prepare as Mictseta, and I dare say as government as a whole, we did not prepare, and probably the industry as well did not participate in preparation for that event. And it's an important event because it gives an opportunity and a platform to young minds to prove who they are and ignites their minds to think beyond their own capabilities and start thinking of new things. It's not that, what makes me more sad is that it's not that we do not have these bright minds in this country. We do have, but we did not go get them. We did not, even those that were there were not properly prepared. I said to some others, as much as I'm not pleased with coming and spending government money in a foreign land for something that I saw that was not proper, but on a second thought I said it was good that I was there. It was good that I was there because I saw the mess. Then I saw why we have not been winning in these competitions throughout the years. Which is why I've raised it with the minister, that no, minister, it cannot continue like this. We need to change the way we prepare for this world skills competition if we have to make an impact, because it has got a potential to make a ripple effect here at home. It is going to ignite new thinking right here at home for the industry, for the country, for the economy, if you start that competition and manage it properly here at home. So, I argue we need to start having this competition at regional level, provincial level, and at a national level before we get those who will be able to represent us at a world stage. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we will be mismanaging the public money. We will not be serious about the future of this country and this economy if we don't do that. And therefore, we need to, myself and the board, I think we are having a strategy session in the next week, eh? Yeah, soon. They're taking me out. So, one of the key things that we must debate and come with a solution is this matter of how do we prepare these kids to compete in on a world stage and win, because I believe they can. They can. So this competition is held every 2 years. We must start the preparation for the next one, which is held in 2025? 2024. We must start the preparation, which is why this discussion that we're going to have next week must start that process. But then we must indicate we are not the owners of this. We will seek guidance and give advice to the minister on how this thing must be done. To this end, we need to start working with the industry, the department, and the institutions of higher learning, so as to find and prepare these youngsters that must compete on international platforms. This leads me to the next point of the fourth industrial revolution. The following qualifications have been developed and are in the process of being registered for learnerships. We did say last AGM that we were working on these: the artificial intelligence software developer, cybersecurity analyst, data science practitioner, design thinking practitioner, design thinking innovator, and quality test automator. This is putting the MICT SETA in the cutting edge of future skills. We also appreciate the MICT SETA's that it is a transversal SETA, and as such, what we do would have touched points in various sectors of the economy. With the above qualifications, there is no reason not to compete on and hold our own against some of the best in the world. We also pursue the development of new qualifications in the context of the outcomes of the national skills convened by the National Skills Authority. Regarding the mandatory grants, in the year under review, we have spent just over 614 million, which is what I indicated that above 400 million of that went to the SMMEs. We developed skill programs from the mandatory grants and also discretionary grants and bursaries, touching about 9,400 learners in the process in 1 year, some of whom were placed in learnerships and internships. The reason for the number to be less than 10,000 that we reported last year is that last financial year, before the one that we are reviewing now, there was an UIF project which had about 2,300 learners that pushed the numbers to about 10,000. But now, this 9,000 learners that we're talking about, it's only from the resources that are internal from MICT SETA without an external help. In fact, in real terms, MICT SETA has delivered more than it has done in the previous financial year because of our own internal resources that we have used. To this extent, we must, ladies and gentlemen, pause and express heartfelt gratitude to all the stakeholders here, because without you, we could not have delivered that, and appreciate the levy-paying companies for continuing to be loyal and paying their levies. It will be remiss of me not to also thank the organized employers and organized labor, without whom challenges of steering this mammoth ship would be ever so harder. As we indicated last year at the AGM, we do not, as a SETA, have unending resources. We appeal for an understanding on the side of the stakeholders. We shared with the AGM last year that there was a disturbing act of a handful of trainers who violated the provisions of the SLAs. This led to MICT SETA having to terminate some of these SLAs. In the main, some of these training providers, they did not pay stipends of learners. This is what I was talking about earlier on that I said I was going to come back to. In some cases, you had one director featuring in 5 different companies that benefited. We had to terminate because you're closing out the space for others. You're hiding behind the names of the companies, but it's, it's one person. You can't allow that. In some cases, the training providers would use the same learners for the different programs. So you've got one learner that appears in different programs from the same training provider. What is it that we're doing? We had to terminate that SLA. It's unacceptable. Not when we are here. We're not going to. In some cases, as we indicated, these learners that were claimed for did not even know the class, where is the training venue. But people were paid. So we are terminating them. And I've said to the CEO, you don't even have to call me and ask, what must we do? You break the SLA. You render the contract invalid. Because SLA is a contract. So he must do what he has to do. And I hope, I said last time, this must not, we must not be a gangster state where if you do the right thing, then you must fear for your life. We must not have a situation where the CEO, we must ask whether we must organize a security for him or not, because he's a South African who does the right thing. We can't afford that. So we need your support when we do this, because we know it's just a few individuals that do this thing. The ordinary training provider has got a good heart and knows why they are doing this. Unfortunately, we have had situations where our online submissions for applications, maybe I might just have to skip this because we are correcting. We are in a process of developing a heat map, which we have not completed, and I think we will be completing that very, very soon, working with our TUT as indicated. And I must move on to the finances quite quickly. In terms of finances, we have come from a very difficult position compared to the need of our stakeholders. However, we realized that just over 350 million revenue due to the lifting of the levies. You remember we reported last AGM that we were having 350 less than what we were supposed to have delivered. But sorry, we have gotten as revenue. But we have managed to recoup that, which is why we have delivered more than what we had intended. I've been warned now that the time is up. And those who are warning me still have their performance appraisal coming. Compared to last year, to the last financial year, the CETA has managed to achieve 90% performance compared to the 75% that we reported last year. So we have gained. In terms of the audit, we have achieved an unqualified audit opinion with findings this time around. You'd remember last year we said we had gotten an unqualified audit with no findings, which was called a clean audit. But we must talk about this, forget it when the person who was indicating time is up. I have to say this. The reason for these findings, and I must not read it, I must just talk about it. The reason for these findings is under-reporting, right? Under-reporting is that we have reported less than what actually at the time of the audit. At the time of the audit, we reported less than what we actually have delivered. How nice is that? It's not that we do not know what happened. And the reason for that is actually the training providers. The training providers are not communicating enough with us and timely, because some of the reasons for this under-reporting is that if there is learners dropping out and you replace and you're not communicating us and we change that in time and we get the records properly and submit and file them properly. So this is also your responsibility. Should I blame you for not getting the clean audit again? I would like to do that. Because if you were communicating with us better, we would have still maintained the clean audit that we had. So your challenge to get us back to the clean audit again is to work better with us in terms of reporting. I think I must come close to the end of this session. Let me jump some of the stuff because I have been threatened. And let's indicate that in the previous AGM, because this thing happens all the time, you are told that you come and talk to us and never tell us about things that we decided last year. There was a complaint that we must establish chambers, right? The process has been slow, but we can guarantee you we got onto it immediately. The process is almost at the completion that the chambers must be established. We can confidently say by the end of this financial year, which is March next year, we should be having a start of the financial, because the documentation that lays the base for the chambers is almost complete. So we are working on that, and we listened to you. We must also say that last year, Mr. Matumi Madibana was an acting CEO. We have appointed him as a chief executive officer now, and we must congratulate him and support him. We are also in a process of talking to the minister about this 10.5 administration cap. But as we talk about it, we do not want to say free for all. People must do as they please. But we're saying Mictseta in particular, and the task before us. Something must be looked into. We will be discussing this and seeing how we get out of it. Maybe let me skip some of these things and get to my concluding remarks. My concluding remarks, I would like to thank the colleagues from IKB. They were not here in the financial year that has gone by, but they came in midstream, and they've assisted because we have had company secretaries or board secretaries resigning. My thanks go to Sipiwe Ngwenya, who is the managing director, Natalie Naidu, and Tombi Mutsamai, who worked with Ms. Makanya under difficult circumstances to deliver even this AGM. And thank you guys for the hard work, and keep on drinking the wine and do the work that we have to do. They say, well, maybe let me skip that as well. To my fellow board members, the robustness that you know, there is ever robust engagements in the board, and people who think that we're fighting and we're at war with each other, but we seek to find solutions, and I appreciate your support. At times you make me look like I'm clever, and yet I'm just a man from the rural areas that is in the city, because of you, the work and support that you give me. And I really appreciate you. And I must also appreciate management for your work, and I need to mention them by name: Mr. Nkune, Ms. Nelson, Ms. Baloi, Ms. Mukwena, Ms. Museleku, Ms. Fetman, Mr. Mabilibili, Ms. Machigiza. Some are not Miss, they are Misters. Mr. Namgabini, Ms. Sima, and your work and those who work with you and report to you is recognized and appreciated. I must also extend my appreciation to the work to the commitment and working together with the union leadership under the leadership of Mr. Malaga. It would be a missed opportunity for me not to thank the Minister and Zimande for guidance and support. Without such support, we would have not been able to achieve some of the things that we have achieved. In the same way that it is important to appreciate the support that we have gotten from the chairperson of the National Skills Authority, Dr. Nwaila. The same should be extended to the QCTO, because they have been working with us with the qualifications that we've sent to them for consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, whilst we are reeling from the effects of the pandemic, life has slightly gotten back to normal. However, there are changes that we must accept that they will live with us. At this stage, colleagues, allow me to express our deepest and most sincere gratitude to the stakeholders, without whom the Mictseta would not be what it is. To our learners, and we must appreciate them. And also, lastly, we must indicate that this is a journey that we are taking, and we must walk it together for the African child, for that child that has got no hope but a potential. It is our responsibility to find them and unearth them and make them to contribute in their own country. And lastly, I'm told there's a birthday boy amongst us. He did not know that I would be announcing this. I'm told that Mr. Mamrubela has turned 21 again. Happy birthday, Mr. Mamrubela, and God best bless you. If I had a voice, I would have sung happy birthday for you. Maybe some will do that. By virtue of the powers vested in me, I declare this AGM open. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to our brother. Happy birthday to you, our brother. Hip, hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hooray! And the last peep, an MIC tip peep. Hooray!
Thanks very
Thank you,
much.
family.
Thanks very much for the song. And though we can't see who is singing.
Marshall from Cape Town.
Oh. Marshall, are you in Cape Town?
Marshall Nelson from the Youth Media Movement from Cape Town. Thank you very much, my
Okay, no,
leader.
thanks very much. I thought because there are people online here, they said there are those who are here. I thought the person is singing from here. Thanks very much for that. Mr. Mamrubela, thank you very much. Happy birthday, my brother. They said you are turning 21, and you're still going to see, you still have a long way to go. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for the very informative presentation. And I hope that the points has been taken. And whenever there is anything, of course, at the end of the presentation, of course, we'll be given that little opportunity to can just, you know, say whatever you want to say. So I would really want to thank the chair for giving this information. And without any wasting of time, because chair was saying, they warning me, I didn't say anything. I deliberately said, Chair, you can go as much as you want. You are a chairperson. There's no way I'm going to draw the line for you. Otherwise, I know the results for that. I don't want to be a victim. And I know outside you are going to tell me the truth, that consider yourself where you are, then please. So I didn't want to. I said, let me keep quiet. And I made sure that I look at you so that you can see that I'm quiet. I was not trying to threaten, but thank you very much, Chair. Without any wasting of time, because already time is gone, I'm going to call the CEO, Mr. Matume Madibana, just to come and share with us why we're here. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks very much, Program Director, Mr. Langa. Let me say, Nda. Molweni. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We are here because you actually sent us. You sent us, and we are here to give you feedback. Most of you would agree that feedback indeed is the breakfast of champions. So when you sent us, you didn't say it would be easy, and rest assured it's not easy, but we will continue to persevere because we have an obligation to serve the people of South Africa. And that obligation must be fulfilled as excellently as we possibly can with your support. Allow me to acknowledge the chairperson of the Board of MICT-SETA, Mr. Simpiwe Thobela, chairpersons of various committees of the board of MICT-SETA, including Mr. Suleiman Badad, who is doing an amazing job for the institution. And thanks very much, Mr. Badad, and your team. Mr. Ngobeni, chairs of 4IR advisory committees, who continue to guide us when it comes to strategic 4IR issues, including having developed what we call an integrated digital skills strategy that is enabling us to continuously do what is right in terms of the strategic alliances that we are forging, as alluded to by the chair, not only with the industry, but equally with academia. The members duly serving in each committee, my appreciation to you, all esteemed members of the board of MICT-SETA, chairperson of services SETA, Mr. Fries, CEO across various SETAs. I know some of them have connected virtually. Leaders inside and outside of MICT-SETA, our broader valued stakeholders from top, medium to SMMEs who contribute levies, our SMMEs who are part of sector priority areas and who, despite limitations around unstable connectivity, particularly in some of the rural provinces, continue to do their part to ensure that we effectively deliver on our mandate. Relevant chambers, trade unions, and leadership of NEHAU led by Mr. Malaka, professional bodies and NGOs present, MICT-SETA employees who work tirelessly to ensure continuous improvement, and all our extended stakeholders, let me take this opportunity to warmly greet you and appreciate your presence in witnessing our achievements in respect of 2021-22 financial year and related priority areas in respect of 2023-2024 financial year. You know, sometimes you feel like you can say, can everybody say amen? And I'll tell you why. It's barely 2 years. We're talking hard lockdown, COVID, ripping lives apart. We've lost colleagues, we've lost relatives, we've lost people we know. And part of why I feel like one can say, can everybody say amen? It's because we are here because of grace. We were not sure whether we would see tomorrow. So much that even the secrets of where we invested some monies, we had to tell relatives if anything goes wrong, because some of us got it 3 times. Because of being servants, going to work, and the next thing they'll just bring papers to you, and 2 days down the line you realize, oh, I'm down. That's what we went through. So it's all because of grace, ladies and gentlemen, that we are still standing here under this hall, and let's thank God and clap our hands for having survived the COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way we can talk performance information, which Chair has alluded to, without just touching on cross-cutting issues that have got a direct bearing on reliable performance information. In order for us to attain true stakeholder legitimacy, confidence, and ethical culture, as Chair has alluded to, and continuous improvement, there's got to be some reflection on certain higher-level issues, not only in the best interest of learners, but also levy payers. And let's give a round of applause for all those who are paying levies to MICT-SETA. The reason we are grateful, because if it's not them, this mandate will not be effectively delivered, ladies and gentlemen. At high level, one must indicate that MICTC has a total of slightly over 32,600 stakeholders against a total current operating capacity. I'm giving you the latest operating capacity of MICTC, 106 employees, serving 32,600 stakeholders across the length and breadth of the country. Let's give them a round of applause. The stakeholder base of the entity continues to grow at SMME level, which is a good story because part of our sector priority areas, ladies and gentlemen, is to ensure that we support and grow SMMEs. And we are doing that without any compromise. Ladies and gentlemen, if you critically look at the overall budget of slightly, as Chair alluded to, above 600 million for discretionary grants against 2,100 applicants and getting to strike a fair balance, you'll realize how complex it is to find a more satisfactory balance for everyone. It's something that we don't strongly and seriously continue to communicate to stakeholders because more often than not, the challenge that we see is finding balance of how do we accommodate as many as possible. We're dealing with a very tight budget, and it becomes very difficult because you find that you can only accommodate up to this much, and the next thing others are excluded. It's a very difficult balance to get right. So. What we then resolved per directive from the board is let us share. From the perspective and spirit of Ubuntu, people shall share. And the Constitution of South Africa clearly stipulates that we shall share the wealth of our country. We're doing exactly that. It might not work for others because sometimes, I don't mention the name, we allocated one stakeholder about 40 learners, and he said, I don't want it, give me 1,000. Little does he know that 1,000 is a full target when it comes to a specific indicator for the whole financial year. And those are some of the challenges that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, members and stakeholders. But we are ever committed, we remain committed towards accommodating as many applicants as possible because of the advantage coming with that equitable approach as per directive from the board on allocation, which goes a long way in covering as many communities and as many young people in our rural villages as possible. The 4IR is moving at a fast pace. It's so moving at so much a fast pace that we shouldn't leave any young South African behind. So the principle and the spirit of sharing must just be entrenched in us, and let's forget about wanting to have everything to ourselves because it doesn't work. The budget is limited, the targets are limited, and we can only share. It would be remembered, stakeholders, that in the past AGM, amongst concerns sharply raised was the issue of delayed payments and system glitches from time to time. Chairperson has alluded to the contract that we have with TUT, which is developing us an integrated learner management system which is easily configurable, and through the shared service model, we strongly believe it would come handy with the challenges that we face when it comes to accountability around some of these issues pertaining to what you submit in terms of records to us, but also accounting better to the Auditor General. So we are a listening organization, and most of you would agree that there's been a sharp improvement in ensuring that invoices are paid within reasonable turnaround times, most of the times in far less than 3 weeks, despite our limitations in terms of internal capacity. Unfortunately, due to the 10.5% admin threshold, as Chair alluded to. I thought you'll give employees of Mictseta a round of applause because you know very well, stakeholders, that indeed the situation is not as worse. We indeed pay as expeditiously as possible, Sometimes we'd even pay within 2 weeks. That very small capacity that I'm talking about, some of them say I'm a slave driver, but I tell them I'm being slave driven, so we don't have a choice. Let's slave drive each other. That's how it goes. So we do it. It's tough, ladies and gentlemen, but because we said we shall serve our people, it just has to be done. One other issue that came as a cause for concern was the issue of system. That's not user-friendly and not so effective. It was raised by large companies, medium and SMMEs, as a teething and a complex problem that is making it difficult for us and for them. Indeed, the issue of the solution that is currently being developed, which is probably sitting at more than 60%, because one module is already completed from the ETQA side. The other module, the module that is completed is SSP, and the other module that is currently almost towards completion is with regards to learning programs. And then we'll see how they fare when it comes to the ETQA side and the finance side. But great job has thus far been done, and we greatly appreciate the effort by TUT. And in appropriately responding to the 4 imperatives, ladies and gentlemen, chairs alluded to a number of qualifications that we have developed as guided by our integrated digital strategy. I won't want to get into those qualifications that we developed. The performance information, he has alluded to what we have achieved. From 75%, ladies and gentlemen, to a 90%, it takes great commitment to achieve that. So let's give a round of applause to the employees of MICTC. That's a great achievement. It's excellent performance under all standards. This machinery of government, ladies and gentlemen, it never runs without challenges. I wish, let me see if you'd be able to see. Unfortunately, the technology this side seems not to be. Oh, it's moving. Oh, great. Just want you to at least have a look at. There you go. That's the summary of performance, ladies and gentlemen. And it's like was alluded to, 90%. One of the challenges that we have, like I said, the machinery doesn't run without some glitches here and there. And amongst other obvious ones are issues of contracts that end up being terminated. They get terminated due to non-compliance, poor reporting of learner dropouts also affect how we report. Chair alluded to that. And, slow movement when it comes to replacement of those learners who would have been terminated. It then affects the reporting part. If we can improve when it comes to those aspects, it will go a long way. Poor turnaround in submitting compliance documents also affect how we go about our business in a big way. If you think about it, more often than not, we would have plus minus 2,000 applications, 2,000 plus applications in respect of discretionary grants on an annual basis. That's a big number for an entity of our size. If you think about it, the data that comes with learners for each and every provider, it's quite a hectic kind of documentation, but we try by all means, ladies and gentlemen, to do our best in the said regard. Notwithstanding some of these challenges, like we alluded, we managed to improve significantly within just a year. As I take this opportunity, dear stakeholders, to present the MICT CETA, APP in respect of 2023-2024 financial year. Let's see, that would be those are sector priorities that I alluded to. They talk to issues of 4IR amongst others, ensuring that there's that enablement of 4IR with the support, like I alluded to earlier on, of your 4IR advisory committee, the issue of ensuring that we support CETs amongst others, and ensuring that we enable the growth of the public college system through sectoral partnerships in the delivery of learning interventions. Those are sector priorities that really guide as to which areas must we ensure that we focus on. Those are our programs, ladies and gentlemen. We know them very well. They're about, those are key ones. But beyond these ones that you see on the screen, we have monitoring and evaluation, which was established by the board, but also 4IR, to ensure that we align ourselves to these emerging innovations. We're living in an unpredictable world wherein when companies introduce these technologies, they don't negotiate. Issues of AI, they are here to stay. And if we don't upskill our people appropriately, we will see the disaster that we have never seen in the course of our lifetime, where people might lose jobs if they're not properly upskilled. We're talking driverless cars. There are already countries where they are manufacturing or working on technologies that will ensure that there are trucks that can be driverless. There are restaurants in other countries where you just interact with a robot. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we need to do a lot more to ensure that we appropriately respond to these technologies. The number of KPIs in respect of administration is about 14, 3 in respect of sector skills planning, 24 when it comes to learning programs, and about 6, so we have a total of about 47 targets. If you look at the scope of the actual performance targets when it comes to administration, there they are, stakeholders, you can see, ain't no child's play. We're doing our best to get them delivered. I wouldn't want to take you through each and every single one of them because we've managed to package the annual report for each and every stakeholder, which outlines and clearly articulates all these priorities. There we go, it's SSP when it comes to output indicators in respect of sector skills planning. Those are the clear targets for the year. And for stakeholders who have not submitted WSPs and ATR, if we can make sure there's communication that has been released in respect of that to open up and ensure that we submit before that timeline, if we can ensure that we do that. Learning programs, this is the most, one of the most critical divisions, and it carries even a larger budget of the entity. Even when it comes to checks and balances, the issue of audit is one area where they focus a lot of attention on because of the carrying the larger budget or part of the budget of the entity. And you can see for yourselves there, learning programs, number of unemployed learners entering learning programs, about 8,920. And those are others outlined. You can see it's quite a number of targets, but far from enough to cater for all our stakeholders. Hence, we went an extra mile, dear stakeholders, to apply for additional funds through UIF, and I think this was raised even last year in AGM that we do something beyond the budget that we have so that we can be able to accommodate as many as possible. We've applied for funding at UIF. We've also applied for funding at National Skills Fund. And we continue to make follow-ups, hoping that we'll get that desirable result because we care about our stakeholders and their growth, including sustainability of their businesses. Those are further indicators when it comes to learning programs. Ladies and gentlemen, your number of CT partnerships that must be established, and your number of partnerships with TVET colleges established, and it's quite a number of them. A number of students funded under established 4 researchers, and those are the targets that we are looking forward to ensuring that we attain come end of the financial year. Although we try by all means to apply what we call forward planning, so that those that we can achieve much earlier before the financial year, we do so. And there's great improvement with regards to the second quarter as compared to what happened in the first quarter. So we're hoping that we will not drop the ball when it comes to the mark that we achieved in the previous financial year, where we got a 90%. That sums it up. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much.
Thanks very much, CEO. While you were talking here, I was asking myself as to why, when I look at the program here, time allocated to you, it's more than of the CFO, acting CFO. And, you know, the very important person is the CFO, equally to the Minister of Finance. You know, in the country, politically or in governance, we've got the president and the Minister of Finance. The rest are ministers of cabinet. So they are there, they're not there, it's fine. As long as we can get a word from the president and the Minister of Finance, so our life is complete. Now, when I look here, Mr. Mtenjwa, as you prepare yourself to come closer, the time allocated to you is 15 minutes. I'm not too sure whether you'll make it in 15 minutes to satisfy everyone in the House, so that they can understand that everything financially is well. So, Mr. Mseleku, please come and satisfy us. Tell us where are we financially. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Program Director. To the representative of the Executive Authority, the chairperson of the board of MICT SETA, and the chairpersons of the board of other SETAs, the members of the board of MICT SETA, and the members of those of other SETAs as well, the members of Audit and Risk Committee, led by the chairperson, Mr. Salman Badat, colleagues from Auditor General, I know I've been told that they are online, my fellow colleagues from other SETAs, to all our valued stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, I greet you all. My name is Mtenjwa Mselegu. As I've been introduced by the chairperson of the board, I'm the acting CFO of the MICT SETA. It is my privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to present to you the financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2022. I should start by saying that these financial statements were audited by the Auditor General of South Africa, which is the supreme audit institution in the country. And in their opinion, they expressed that these financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position, the financial performance, and cash flows of the MICT SETA. They've also, further to that, confirmed that these financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the PFMA, the Skills Development Levy, and also the relevant accounting standards. So basically, in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, the HSA has given us a clean bill of health in relation to the financial statements. Ladies and gentlemen, in front of you is a statement of financial position as of 31st March 2022. The Mictseta had a total asset of 667 million. Of that, the larger portion of it comes from the cash and cash equivalents, which total to 653 million. And so I think that's mainly, if you look at the AFS, you would notice that that's a significant increase from the prior year. And the reason for that is mainly due to the suspension of the skills development levy by the president, which was imposed for a period of 4 months. And also there's been a huge significant improvement in the sector as a whole, as people have come from the COVID times. I believe that one of the benefits of the COVID is that when the people have seen the impact that it has had in their families, some have lost jobs, some have been laid out of their jobs and so on. So when you're coming back from there, you are making sure that whatever that you are doing in each and every day, you are making sure that you are putting on your best. So that's basically the main improvement that we have seen generally around the sector and around the world, and also in the economy. Obviously, there are other factors that are affecting the economy, but individually, people are putting in their best in terms of that. Cash and cash equivalents has gone up by 87%, and that's mainly relating to the increase in the sector. And also that huge jump is mainly due to the fact that in the prior year there has been that problem of COVID-19 that has hit us badly in the country and in the world at large. Property, plant and equipment, there is a decrease of 15.87%. And that is mainly due to the normal depreciation of our leasehold improvements that were purchased in the previous financial years, and also the computer equipment. Intangible asset, you will see that there is a decrease of 50%. That is mainly due, the chair has touched on the issues in relation to the DG, and I'll touch base on that when I get to the DG. The reason why we've reported a bit low discretionary grant dispersed in the current year compared to the last year. And that was mainly because of the system-related issues. And you'd see that we've had a bit of an impairment of one of our modules, the LPD modules and ETQA, which largely contributed to that 50% decrease from prior year. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice that last year we had a receivable of about 36 million coming from the UIF. In the current financial year, there is a decrease of 100%, and that's mainly due to the fact that at the end of the year, Mictseta did not have any contractual right in terms of receiving that amount of money. However, there is the contract between us and UIF is still ongoing. Accounts receivables, there has been an increase of about 75%, and that mainly relates to the purchase of softwares licenses, and we've made a prepayment in relation to that because we can't pay the softwares any other way other than paying them in advance. Accounts receivables from non-exchange transaction, there is that increase of 228%. And the reason for that is due to the fact that we've had some SARS adjustments coming through from our from employers. So that needed to be now raised as a receivables. Ladies and gentlemen, our liabilities, they are comparable to the prior year. We have slightly tried by all means to ensure that we manage our finances and at the same time pay our stakeholders as well. So hence that decrease of 1.54%. In front of you, it's just a picture of our reserves, which is a total of 519 million. Our revenue for the year ended 31 March 2022, the SETA received the total revenue of about 1 billion. There was, the composition of that is 988 million coming from the skills development levies, which is coupled by the interest and penalties. And then we've got in about UIF revenue, which are related to the transfer of about 22 million. We've also invested funds that we have received from stakeholders, and that equated to a 14.7 million finance revenue income from interest and investment. The expenditure, our expense, the chair has touched on it a bit in terms of the discretionary grant expenditure. You'd see that we have 437 million that was spent in relation to DG, and that is a decrease from prior year. The main reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is the issues in relation to our systems. But we've taken a stand on that. The board of Mictseta has resolved that some of these things we need to ensure that where we can realize synergies, those synergies are realized. So hence there is a collaboration with TUT, which is currently developing through research chairs, the system that will take care of the LMS, which is the grants systems, and also the related modules of the Mictseta. Administration expense is seated at 122 million. That is we're still within a threshold of 10.5%, but we just made it within the threshold of 10.5%. So we're seated at exactly 10% when it comes to that. Our monetary grants, we've paid about 175 million to our stakeholders, which is an increase from prior year. And I think it is a good thing, but that increase is mainly due to the fact that in the prior year, we're impacted by that skills development levy holiday. So in the current financial year, we've received more funds, and hence we've had to pay back to our employers what they have paid to contributed to us. I think the next slide, ladies and gentlemen, it's mainly relating to what I've alluded, which is showing the more explanation in relation to that 988 million. So you would see that we've somehow made it above budget by 49.9 million, which is a great thing, and that money has been dispersed properly through the discretionary grants disbursement. Monetary grants, it is that 175 million that I've spoken about. It is 6.21% above our budget, and also 45% above our prior expenditure. Ladies and gentlemen, in relation to our viability, the SETA is viable. We are seated at a net asset position, which is a positive net asset liability position. The net cash deficit has increased by 2% compared to the prior year. And the CEO and the board of Mictseta, what they have said is you'll rather overspend by obviously not willy-nilly than to leave to take money back to National Treasury. So that's a position that they've taken, and that is why we are reporting that small net cash deficit increase of 2%, which I think, in my view, it's a great position, because out there's quite a lot of people that requires skills development, and there's a lot of impact that, as the sitters, we should be making in our community at large. The irregular expenditure balance has increased by 2.3% compared to prior year. So Mictseta has embarked in a process of requesting the removal of that irregular expenditure. So obviously, I'm certain that when we report in the next financial year, we will have a significant less irregular expenditure disclosed in our financial statements. Ladies and gentlemen, the proposed annual budget for the next financial year, the SETA, it is budget estimates. It's still subject to the approval by the minister, but we need to share this with you so that the stakeholders are always informed for the sake of transparency, and also for them to know how much is expected and how is that linked to the APP that the CEO has presented earlier on. We are expecting a total revenue of 1.1 billion. 1 billion of that comes from the skills development levies, and 22 million of that comes from the finance and the investment income. The split of that revenue, 141 million of that is expected to be allocated to administration cost, 229 million to monetary grants, and 680 million towards discretionary grants, in line with to ensure that our APP is achieved. And the special project, we have allocated about 50 million towards the special project to ensure that we have enough qualification development as a SETA, and also if we do have enough, sufficient systems to be able to deliver on our mandate. I think that, basically what's in there, it's mainly talking to the split of the budget. That is all, ladies and gentlemen, the end of the presentation. So I would like to pass my special thanks to all, to the executive authority for all their support, and also to our board of Mictseta and its subcommittees for their oversight role, to our stakeholders, employers, members of organized labor. Thank you so much for your continuous contribution in ensuring that the Mictseta deliver on its mandate. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mseleku, for the report, financial report. It was very much important. It deals with so many numbers. So those who are not familiar with the numbers like us, well, we want to see, when you talk about millions, we want to see literal million written there. As is, I see thousands of friends. So we need to be very clear. We know the same. So we're from different worlds. So thanks very much, Mr. Mseleku. And thanks very much, stakeholders, to give, a very beautiful ear to all information that has been shared with you. So like I've indicated on the initial stage, that we are going to allow the presentation to take place. And at the end of the presentation, that is where we will be, I don't want to say invite questions. I think I need to be very clear on this one. That is where we are going to check if there are questions and comments. Because invitation is very dangerous. You must be careful that when you invite, especially when they say, everyone, you can ask whatever you want to ask. Hey, I'm telling you, they're going to run out of answers until you just judge them as to why are we here. So that is why I'm saying, let me be very careful. Can we check if we've got answers, questions or comments? And if we do, feel free to ask questions. You know, when I was still at school, especially at primary level, when the teacher, after whatever the lecturing that he was giving, they would say, let's check if there are questions. Is there any questions? Comrades? Hey, I'm sorry. But I'll be forgiven on that to call you comrades, but then my fellow board members will understand. Now, the teacher will say, is there any question? Anyone who wants to ask questions? I can tell you, even if you want to scratch yourself on the head, you are going to suspend whatever the pain that you're feeling. Because once you do like this, it's like you saying, yeah, I'm here, I'm asking the question. And they'll point you, Mr. Langa, can you please ask? I don't have a question. I'll have a question outside. So I'm just saying, can we please, check if there are questions? If there are not, we're still here. The presenters are still here, even outside. You're still going to ask questions. Continuously, outside there is no limit. You can do that around the table while busy enjoying your dinner, because I was told that there is a dinner. And then while enjoying the dinner, you can ask questions. And those ones are very secretive. They won't know what question did you ask. That is between you and management. So I'm saying, let's check if there are questions or recommendations. Thank you very much. Oh, I see. Let me put it this way. We are going to take per presentation, please, 3 questions plus. This 3 is recommendation plus question. You will see how do we structure it. Maybe 2 questions and 1 recommendation, but it should be 3. More than 3 is going to be outside. Please, I would appreciate that if that is understood. Thank you very much. I see my brother there with the hand. I saw the other hand there with my brother. And we will choose whichever way, it's fine, with the 3 presentation. I'm not going to be strict on that. I see the third hand. Oh, the fact that I'm saying, and maybe I'm going to invite more hands, but I see the third hand. I think these are the hands for now. Thank you very much. In that sequence, we can just pose our questions.
Thank you, Mr. Langa. Mike Lunica, Abandoned Media. Maybe before I start asking my questions, let me appreciate the reports, starting from the chairperson, the CEO, and the finance, of course. It tells that something is happening. And directly or indirectly, we are beneficiaries of that. Before I go to my questions, let me say, Mr. Langa, I will whisper to the Minister of Higher Education your comments in relation to the fact that you said there's only one minister in this country. Chairperson, you mentioned a number of partnerships that the CETA is having. And they are well and good and well appreciated. But I was hearing you talking about the partnership and complaining with the university, of course, this one in relation to. But you're also complaining with the research component. And my understanding is that the universities have got their research capacity. And they even get paid for those research papers. And we, in our partnership, also consider them researching some of our critical and the most problematic areas in order to have the ease of business. Secondly, you mentioned the partnership with CETAs, other CETAs. How do we benefit as the stakeholders in those partnerships in terms of extending our scope? Maybe we have to continue with the process of applying to extend our scope. But I think if in that level of partnership, we can make it a bit easier and shorter to extend our scope as partners. And lastly, I want to take a blame on the clean audit and the audit finding with the fact that there is a concern. Maybe we need to go back and see how do we tighten our systems in order not to caught up during audit period with some of these discrepancies. If we tighten our systems and make sure whoever get what, the reporting periods are also having in mind our audit time, we might end up having our audit really, really commendable. CEO, you will say that I'm unfair when not talking to you as well. I was impressed when you talk about the fourth priority. But at the same token, how far are we going, or how far are we doing, looking at the CETA footprint, how far are we doing in terms of making sure that in those rural areas, we create the awareness, we conscientize in order for them to benefit in these processes. Because when you are in rural areas, fortunately we have a chairperson who comes from rural areas who might understand better. When you are in rural areas, you seem to be not part of South Africa, because everything that you get, it becomes a second-hand or a third-hand thing. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Notes were taken. And let me do this call before you, my brother, that board members, please, if you feel that one of or some of the questions that has been asked are within your capacity, you are more than welcome to can also respond. I just wanted to, pass that. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, my brother. Are you there? Okay.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mlondi. I am a new kid on the block, just got accredited to offer skills development. My question stems from, first of all, I think I must commend the professionalism and the way that MICSETA has put this together, the presentations, and it's very, very well organized. So I come from a background of a corporate and decided to put tools down and then start a company to offer skills development. My question is related to what the chair spoke about with regards to the focus being not to make money out of skills development, but to be able to offer skills that are needed in the industry. my experience as I was going through the process of accreditation, I had noted certain things that I will point them as opportunities of improvement. First of all, I have an experience of about 20 years in the industry, and have an opportunity to serve at senior levels in the IT industry. And my experience has, going through the process of accreditation, the skills that are offered there that are supposed to be, we're supposed to choose from for accreditation, some of the things that are there are outdated, no longer apply in the industry. Number two, some of the things that are current, that the industry is really in need of, are not even there. So we will avail ourselves if the leadership wants some assistance in that regard, because as it is right now, we are just doing this just for the sake of doing it. We are not really tapping into what the industry needs. One of the roles I was exposed to at work was to work with learners before I left my job, which was a reason why I took this journey. There is another gap that exists between the institutions of higher learning and the industry. So the question that we are really asking from our company is the question of the unemployed graduate. For me, it doesn't make sense that a person can learn to drive, but they cannot drive. You can go to a driving school, but you cannot drive a car. So this is what has happened. There's a very big gap. So my question is, how is the Mictseta going to address that, to bridge that gap between what the courses and the qualifications that are so flaunted? People are holding a lot of queues. Beginning of the USC right now, January is coming. You see a fees must fall and all those things. People are studying just to go and sit at home, because whatever they are studying is not needed in the industry. Lastly, I'm going to talk on the issue of the competition that the chair spoke about, the skills competition. I think even there, if there is going to be a proper initiative, as the meeting is going to take place of preparing the strategic meeting that the chair spoke about, I think certain things need to be addressed there in relation to the preparation for the next one, which is in 2 years' time, as I've heard. How are we going to ensure that that competition is not just a trip to another country, but it is a preparation to ensure that South Africa is going to make a mark? And I agree with you when you said there are skills in the country. There are youngsters who are available. And some of them, to my surprise, they've never been to these universities. But they are so good with the software development, the data science, and everything. So, and I think what we also need to pay attention to is the Skype of data. What data is, data is becoming our new oil. And there should be a need for a lot of skills to be pointing in that direction, to ensure that we empower our youngsters, and our institutions of higher learning are also empowered to ensure that they address the need of data. Otherwise, we don't do that, we will have a situation whereby our data solutions in this country are solved overseas, even though the companies are in the country. Thank you.
Thanks very much, my brother. Thanks very much for those questions or comments. I saw that, oh, you're done. Okay, thank you. Yeah, actually, that is expected. Thanks very much. We've got only two. Well, yes, no, thank you. Yeah, I've taken note of that. I'm warned that we don't have time anymore, and I'm warned from the floor. Thank you very much. CEO, CFO, Chair, questions and comments were made, and therefore, wherever you feel, please come. And I'm not too sure. Maybe let me start with the chair. Chair, please. If
yeah, I can take.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, no, thanks very much.
Thanks. Thanks very much, dear stakeholders. Just let me start with the very last speaker. Quite impressive remarks made, particularly pertaining to ensuring that whatever we provide or deliver, at the end of the day, it's as responsive as possible, the curriculum. And part of why most of our young people are frustrated instead of either becoming entrepreneurs and creating opportunities or finding jobs that are there is purely because of the curriculum that is not aligned and responsive to what the industry requires. So on an annual basis, Mictseta conducts research through what we call Sector Skills Planning Division. That research is actually what informs and led to the very qualifications that Chairperson has alluded to. I also alluded to that. We developed a total of 35 for our aligned qualifications. I also talked to the reality around what we call an integrated digital skills strategy developed by the 4R Advisory Committee. And part of why we have gone an extra mile in ensuring that we establish a division that is 4R division, it's so that we are as responsive as possible. The collaborations that we have with not only academia, but also the industry, obviously picking back from the triple helix model, is deliberately to ensure that we are as reachable, accessible as we possibly can to all areas of South Africa, irrespective of where the location is. Chairperson and myself, and I think Ernest, sometimes during Youth Day, we were somewhere in a place called Springbok in Northern Cape. It's way far, the area called Springbok. We have programs that we are rolling out there. I'm moving out from, I might touch a few questions at the same time. There was a gentleman who asked what we're doing as an entity to ensure that we touch as many areas of our country as possible. We have a rural development strategy. That rural development strategy, ladies and gentlemen, is meant to ensure that whatever we do at all material times is channeled and prioritizes the young people of this country, irrespective of their geographical location. We have stakeholders across the length and breadth of our country, and part of why we optimize on these collaborations, ensuring that we partner not only with TVET colleges, but also universities, is because they are spread across the length and breadth of this beautiful country of ours. So we'll continue to take advantage of the existence of some of these institutions, your academia. We're at the University of Limpopo some 3 months ago, forging and launching some partnerships with one of our partners, I think it was Zetna, to ensure that we don't only continue to distribute these skills, we massify them, we deliver them at scale. At scale deliberately, so that we cater for as many young people as possible. I saw some gentleman attached to Itachi. He's one of our stakeholders. They are doing very well for Mictseta. So much that some school in somewhere in Limpopo, around not far from Seshego, I think it's Mahabo. There are a number of amazing things that they are doing there in the said province. So if there's one thing that I appreciate about this entity, is that element of providing irrespective of where it is. And our board, for that, we greatly appreciate, because there's no province that should be left behind. There's no young person in this country that should lack what we call digital literacy. There are still provinces, ladies and gentlemen, wherein you'd find a school in the rural villages where there's no laptop or a computer. And we call upon our companies to at least donate, like Hitachi is doing, some of those gadgets so that we distribute to some of these rural schools and to avoid a situation where young people get to be confronted with things like laptop or a computer at tertiary level. It's frustrating, and companies should come in handy, and if it means they donate old ones, they will go a long way to make a difference in terms of dealing with this digital divide that is there. We're talking 4IR, countries are already moving to talking 5G. There's a lot of innovation that is moving at the speed of a lightning. We're talking AI. It's here, and it's here to stay. So companies must come forward and do their part. And there was a question around, I won't talk to rural development strategy because we currently given a mandate by the board that we identify, because of budget constraints, as to which provinces can be matched. Even if we can allocate one resource in terms of advisor, we do that. And we have developed that strategy, which has been adopted by the board with some few amendments. We matched Limpopo with Mpumalanga, we matched Northwest with which one, Ernest? We matched these provinces, and then the deliberate intention behind merging them is because of money, limited budget. That's part of ensuring that our footprint is across all areas of our provinces, just beyond the issue of maximizing through collaborations or partnerships. And you stakeholders, some of you are doing very well because you establishing these digital hubs, you're establishing these skills, digital skills centers. Those are some of the initiatives that enable us to spread our wings. We were in, not Langeban, Saldanha Bay, just a week ago, if I'm not mistaken, with the chairperson of the board and the minister and Chieta. We're actually launching a digital skills center there. So those digital skills center go a long way in ensuring that we accommodate as many young people as possible. One of our partners around here in Sandton, called Mr. Tira, they opened another center, very interesting. There's another one in Cape Town. So if for stakeholders who can afford to open those digital skills centers, we will come and partner with them so that we massify. When was it? On Thursday, yesterday, Wednesday? Wednesday I was in Eastern Cape, East London, Mdantsane. Yes, we're in Mdantsane. There was also a launch there, eLita. They provide data at the most cheapest rate. Some of the centers that are to be established, we're going to try and partner with eLita so that as soon when these centers are established, there's a stakeholder who can provide cheaper data. Somebody said data is the new oil. That's absolute true. And our people should have access to as cheap data as it possibly can, so that they can be able to compete in the mainstream digital global economy. If we don't do that, it's a serious injustice on us as South Africans not to expose our young people to this innovative, this amazing and terrific technologies that are before us. And I mean, we're talking issues of e-commerce. For us to compete in that space, there's need for access to data. Hence, we call upon partners. My brother from Hitachi, we're going to talk. We need to do a lot more. In areas I've seen the West, when we visited Pietermaritzburg, you realize that we still have a long way to go. We need to do a lot more to ensure that our people are better exposed. Mr. Lang?
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything, CEO. Luckily, I just, here because I can't see clearly. That is why I'm here. Then you decided to leave. With that, I would want to call the chairperson to come and give some information that, of course, might have been left behind. Thank you, Chair.
Just a quick one. I think we're not going to finish all the questions here. I think we'll agree with that. But we'll take some of the questions as issues that we must go back and think about. I think one of the things I want to clarify, the issue of partnerships with universities and research and so on. The point there is that is a national problem, not necessarily the MRCTC problem. We're not investing enough as a country on research. We are doing the little that we can. We're sponsoring what they call research chairs in different institutions. I think it's more than 9 different institutions where we are sponsoring research chairs, people at master and doctoral level that they are sponsoring to try and fund new things. So there's work that's happening there. But I think, as I say, I don't intend to stay more than a minute here because part of the problem, I'm hungry already. So what we need to, I think we must accept these things. That's why we need these things that we talked about, that chambers, because part of the work that must happen in those chambers is to process some of those things that we're talking about here, and so that they filter into the board. I note the issue about the outdated qualifications and so on. I think it's a matter that we must engage with the industry. Part of the research that we do through SSP to try and get up to speed with new qualifications. I know, Natalie, you're listening to this, and these are things that we must take up seriously, and as things that are cautioning us what we must do. I think the bigger question, as last point that to make before I get off stage, so that we get to the next item quickly. The biggest thing in the country that we're battling with, that we must address, which I don't think we have addressed properly. In the conference, National Skills Conference that was held recently in Durban, I don't know what it was called. One of the key things that comes out of there is that there's 2 problems in our skills system as a whole. Is that, one, we do not have the industry participating properly and adequately in the process of skills development. What is required? And the point is that we have not created space except for these, what is done by SSP only. But there is a bigger national problem of getting the industry involved. That's one. 2, how our education system, from primary to varsity, there seems to be a disjuncture, and that's not an MICT problem. You expect these learners to start dealing with these things, coding and other digital skills, post school. But then this should have been at primary. In other countries we hear, kids are taught these skills right at primary, and we're only catching up with them right at the top. But it's a bigger problem. The other problem that as a country we have that we need to address is being friends with numbers, not only in the bank account, but we must be friends with numbers, taking up mathematics seriously. As a subject matter. And none of these kids are stupid that cannot cope with mathematics, but it's a frame of mind that tells us that numbers are difficult and there's a forte for other people, not us. And I think it's a conversation that the entire country needs to engage. But it's important to raise it at this point, and I think I needed just to clarify that. Mr. Chair, please take us to the next item. Thank you.
Yeah, don't go away. Don't go away, Chair. Don't sit down, Chair. I'm going to call again the chairperson to deal with the next item, as we have indicated that other questions will be asked outside. But then let's go to the next question, which is the passing of the resolution. I know you may see the agenda being somehow not presented by other people, but then I decided to call the chairperson to deal with this one quickly. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. I think probably just clarity. The issue of the real business of the AGM normally is presided over by the chair of the board. That's how it is. It's we are not a Companies Act entity, but then we use Companies Act as a reference point for good practice. So the business of the AGM, which is about resolutions and decisions, it's a matter that the chairperson of the board must deal with. That's why Mr. Langa says I must take over. So we will run through this, and the board secretariat becomes very important on the matter. What we're going to do is that we're going to present resolutions for acceptance by the meeting quickly, and it shouldn't be a very long process. I think in 5 minutes we could be done with this. And the first item up, and I'll call, is it you, Natalie? Natalie, you may come and grace the table here. And what we're going to do is she's going to read these resolutions. But the first up is the acceptance of the minutes of the previous AGM. And that, I was informed that it's in the pack. Am I correct? It's in the pack. So that being the case, what we're going to do now is we want to get the mover for the acceptance of the minutes of the previous AGM. You raise your hand and seconder, and we accept the minute. And now, I place the minute for acceptance by the AGM. Hand up. Can I get hands, please? Yep, there's one hand here, and then there. Right. Mr. Mlifa? Mr. Mlifa moves for the acceptance, and then Mr. It's the minutes are accepted for the AGM. Now, the next resolution, and come read the resolution, and then we'll call for the acceptance of the resolution.
Good evening, everyone. The first resolution put to the floor is in accordance with clause 14.1.4 of the MICT approved constitution. Resolution number 1 reads as follows. It is resolved that the annual financial statements for the year ended 31 March 2022 be accepted.
Thank you, Natalie. You may not leave, just stand here. And for the acceptance of the annual financial statements, right? Right. Can I get the mover? These were presented by the CFO, so we want the acceptance of these annual financial statements by the stakeholders. And can I get a mover? Hands, please. The sooner we raise hands, the closer and quicker we get to dinner. Yes, your name is? Isaac Msimangat, and thank you. Moves and seconder. So the hand here. Mark, second, the financial statements are hereby accepted. Thank you. Natalie?
Thank you, Chair. The second resolution reads as follows. It is resolved that the annual report on the Accounting Authority's affairs for the 2021-2022 financial year be accepted.
That's annual report, right? Now, annual report, you would have noticed we reflected on the annual report from myself and the CEO before he put the APP. So we present it for approval, or for acceptance rather. And hands, please, for accepting. Yes, sir. Stanley moves for acceptance, and seconder. What happened to this side? Are people too hungry this side? Seconder, there is a seconder right there, the back. Thank you. Annual report accepted.
The third and final resolution for the evening reads as follows. It is resolved that the Auditor General report for the 2021-2022 financial year be accepted.
That's budget, right? AGS. Okay. We have presented the Auditor General's report, and I spoke about it, and he spoke about it, just spoke about it, and you accepted responsibility for the findings. So you, so now you must accept the AGSA report, and it's presented for acceptance. Did you forget, Mr. Luniga moves and seconder? Hey, ultimately, there's one from my left, and yes, sir. No, it's seconded, and you save the best for last. Thank you. All resolutions of the AGM have been duly passed. Thanks, Natalie, and thank you, colleagues. And that takes care of the business of the day. And my role for now ends, and I'll then hand over to the chair. I can't wait to hear the next thing that he's going to say.
Thanks very much. Unfortunately, I've got so many hints, or indication that we have just moved, too far. You could even hear from the chair that really the speed was not of the Datsun or Datsun or whatever. This was a Ferrari speed. And if you cannot cope with the speed, otherwise you'll be left behind. So I hope all of you're still here, and I can see you're still here. Thank you very much. You managed to catch the speed. Now, this is it becoming nearly to an end. I just want to take this opportunity as the program director to thank you. You've been very disciplined. I'm not too sure whether it's the right word to say disciplined, because, hey, you know what, you cannot edit the speech, unfortunately. Once I've said this, it went out, I was quoted, and I was told that the minister is going to be informed. And that is exactly what I was not saying. I was actually saying, in the eyes of the public, not me. So if the minister is told, please let it be clear, I must not be quoted out of context. It should be clear that I said the public, not myself. Now, I want to take this opportunity to thank you. We've been standing here from 5 o'clock until now, hopefully not boring you, giving you the very important information that we've been anticipating. I know for sure that now, much as you are so much important to us, and I guess we are also important to you, we need each other. That is why we met under this roof, and so that we can be able to exchange the information that is, before us. Now, without any wasting of time, I just want to say, during the course of the meeting, if indeed, on a serious note, I've said something that is not sitting well with you, please accept my apology. Because it was not by intention, like I'm saying that it might be something that I've just said without knowing or noticing that now it's not going to sit well with you. But I guess, I don't think you are going to get that. Everything that I said, it was well within the parameters. I don't think I've said anything bad. So I don't doubt myself. So I just want to say thank you very much. We're going to give the chairperson to give the remarks. And Chair, just a moment, just a little moment. Thank you very much. Let me thank the presenters, the chairperson of the board, the CEO and the acting CFO to give this kind of information. I think this is exactly what makes you to feel that indeed this board that is led by the chairperson and also working with management is really doing good. And thank you very much for that. You know, before I leave here, before I can say I'm done with the business of the day, I want to call, definitely I'm not saying, I didn't forget the name, but then the lady who is coming to present the present to the Mictseta, I did not forget the name, to be honest, just that I know she's here. So can you please come closer so that we can be able to be given this 2 minutes and give the present to this Mictseta. I'm not too sure whether okay, there comes, yeah, no, I didn't forget, man. I know you will come eventually. You know I'm talking about you. Yeah? Oh, yeah, no. It's, her name is Winnie Chikame. I know, yeah, so that is why I'm saying I didn't forget. So thank you very much, you can do that. Sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. All protocol observed. I don't know whether to present to the CEO or the chair of the board. I think the chair. May I please present? On behalf of our CEO, Mr. Tamsanga Makubela from SAGRA, South African Council for Graduate, would like to present the Youth Employment Award, recognized as a champion partner in skills development for youth and partnership with SAGRA. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, like I said, I think I'm done. This time will be of the chairperson to do the closing remarks. And it's good that I was not involved in the picture that they were taking here. Otherwise, it was going to be a mess, I can tell you. This certificate, there was no one who's going to recognize it upon getting there at the Mictseta. Luckily and deliberately, I said, no, let me sit down. I'm not going to be part. So, in that, stakeholders and everyone who's here, we want to say thank you very much. And until we meet again, please keep on supporting as we are supporting the learners of this country. Thank you very much.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think, so thank you, Mr. Langa, and I think you kept us entertained. I think as you move towards retirement, you must also think of the other skill that you have. I'm not sure which seater. I'm not sure which seater does handle things like the talent search for comedians, because you could be probably much more comfortable with that skill than. So I think I must thank you even for managing time, and I must also thank those who tried to manage me and my time. So it's difficult to manage me, but you did manage to manage me. So thank you so much for managing me. But I think it's also important to extend the word of thanks to the stakeholders that are here. You could have been anywhere else and doing much better things than just sitting here and listening to us. But your being here is a statement of confidence and living to that, what we said about outcomes that includes legitimacy of Mictseta. Your being here is confirming that legitimacy of the Mictseta as an organization and the board and its management. And thank you so much for being here. It's much appreciated. We're not taking it lightly. And I think to the extent that it is possible, it is our intention to expand our base of the stakeholders as much as we can, but within the limited resources that we have, must be understood. And I must thank you for your understanding. And I've been touched by some of the people who have said to me, I got an allocation, an SLA some other time, but in the next year I didn't get anything, but I understand that you guys are trying to satisfy all of us, and there's many of us. As the CEO was saying, when we issue a call for DG grant applications, we get a whooping 5,000 or thereabout number of applications. And you can imagine for the budget that we have what it means. But we still get the good reports of people who are saying, we do see that you are trying to do something proper and keep on doing the right thing. We are very much conscious that we are managing public funds here, and we are creating an environment for skills that must be developed, that must be solving the problems of the country and make us, South Africa, the country that we want and wish to be, staying at and leave it in good hands of our kids. And let's create, we must know that this country is not ours. It's a country that we've borrowed from those that come behind us. Our kids, our grandkids must find this country a place that is a place good to live in and be happy and be proud of being South Africans and Africans. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this night, and the food is going to be served. And now I'm going to request that the board members during dinner, at the instruction of the program director, that ask questions outside. The board members must spread and sit in different tables so that the people are in management as well must sit in different tables, not sit as a MyCity sitter, so that people are able to ask questions that they could not ask during the formal session. Those who are online, who have had questions written, those questions will be pulled up and downloaded, and a response will be given by management. With that, colleagues, it is in my power now to dissolve the AGM. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know who gives what direction from now on, but I think the food is ready. I don't know. Somebody must come and tell us what we do. Some of us are very hungry now. So can somebody come and tell us how we get food?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dinner will be served just outside. There are buffet stations as you enter, or rather exit, the doors. So either on your left or on your right, then you may come back into the venue and enjoy dinner. Thank you.